Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. We're here in May, and today is a great show because we're going to be talking about a couple newer discoveries, some really interesting topics that are key in addressing some of the green issues, and particularly energy. And if you're talking about a wealth of a nation, a large part of that comes from energy. So I know, Austin, I hope you're having a great morning so far. And you had a couple of things you wanted to brush up on that really caught your eye yesterday. But let's start off with how you're doing. What's happening?
Doing great. Finally able to look outside and see some blue skies and sunshine, which is nice for a change this week. It's been cloudy and gray, so happy to see that. No, happy to see some movement in a couple sectors that we've been keeping our eyes on as well.
Yeah, so let's just jump into GMG Graphene because that's it's a new issue. It's one I was grateful to be involved with and get in early on. And graphene has promised to be it really is a wonder material, and it's been around for quite some time. There's a good history on it. I've got an article and I'm working on a report right now about graphene, but some of it has not really lived up to its muster. And like all things that are cutting edge, the development or discovery time to actual usage usually takes a couple of years. There's some time frame in there, but GMG has certainly push this, farther ahead down the road, and we appreciate that. This is a huge deal as far as aluminum ion batteries, and when we're talking about energy, battery storage, all this, whether it's copper with the electrification of the future, what we really need is a lot more innovation and technology, and graphene holds that wonderful, hopeful chalice of having a big impact in this space. And yesterday, GMG came out with a news release which was wonderful, and it highlighted a lot of the performance data that they've had from their aluminum ion batteries. And this has been a real game-changing technology, and they highlighted that the differentiator between this is that the extremely high power density. So it's like 7,000 watts per kilogram. So that's an exceptionally high charge rate. They also have a much longer battery life. So I believe something like this is something to the extent of 2,000 charges. So with no deterioration in performance, low fire potential, so very safe. And also because it's very recyclable, a much lower environmental impact. So this is hitting a lot of these boxes that anyone who's concerned about energy, environmental issues, and how that synergy comes together with the environment and energy. This seems to be certainly big news in the right direction. That's a great place to give us hope that we're solving a lot of these issues and combating them in the capital markets. So GMG is obviously thrilled. The market yesterday acknowledged that, and the shares went up quite a bit. I think it's pulled back a bit today because, people like to trade. And as they come out with more news and they keep on proving up what they have here in regards to their entire platform of products. I mean, this is just one product that they have. They have a thermal XR solution, which has cut energy savings up by like 50% while reducing the emissions. So they're able to provide a lot more asset longevity within a lot of their suite of products. So we're going to see a lot of things coming out of there. They do lubricants and coolants, as I mentioned before, but really the big thing about graphene is that it is one of the strongest and thinnest materials out there. Like it's 200 times stronger than steel, and about 1 million times thinner than a human hair. So you're talking about pretty spectacular stuff. And it is obviously, as we've proven with some of this data, an extraordinary heat and electrical conductor. So this, is a big shift, and we're still early stages. And I think that the company itself said, listen, we would be about 18 months, 12 months to maybe 18 months out before we have a retail product available. But at least that's where it's going. And this was a huge step in the right direction. And I love getting these types of stories out because it's showing that there's so much work going on behind the scenes, especially when we have to hear a lot of negative news in the news all the time, is that there are companies out there like GMG that are putting money to work, and there's investors that believe in the team and the projects and these products, and they're making a difference. And this is where we really need to be focusing our attention, is people taking action, having great results, and pushing the bar forward, rather than just like kind of inundated with the negative and the struggle and this, and the struggle is real, but this is a great company that's giving hope, and it's saying, listen, we're solving some of these problems, and I love that. That's what's so amazing. And I think this branches in to what you had found yesterday as well, and which is another huge topic, which is getting a lot more news as well, and that's hydrogen. Or green hydrogen.
It's a really exciting thing that caught my eye, and I'll go, just before I jump into that, I'll just add a point to expand kind of on your GMG thing as well. It's awesome to see a company like that, obviously coming out with incredible products, producing great results, but also to have the government backing that they do in a country like Australia with their newest budget that they rolled out. It's very aggressive on the front of being pro clean energy, pro minerals, natural resources. It's fantastic to see that kind of support from that sector as well, to push the kind of everything we're talking about as far as a green, clean future, as renewable resources. To push that forward, you need the government backing as well. And so it's great to see a country like Australia supporting moves forward like that. With all that said, super exciting stuff for GMG. We're very excited for them. Hydrogen is a total another kind of realm, and it's not something you and I have jumped a whole lot into. We're big helium guys. And someone made the comment to me, a bit of a joke the other day, that said, well, why don't we look at hydrogen more? Why aren't you guys as big of hydrogen guys as you are helium guys? I was like, well, honestly, I don't know. I need to kind of start looking into it a bit more. And almost perfectly on schedule, this deal here in Alberta between Suncor Energy and ATCO Gas comes out that they're going to be doing a multi-billion-dollar project to push it's a reduction of emissions by using hydrogen in a sort of faceted way in plants set up in northern Alberta. Their estimate is they can release carbon emissions by 300,000 tons. It's going to be a huge project. It's going to create a ton of jobs in Alberta, which is exciting for me. And it's just great to see, big oil and gas companies stepping up and saying, hey, we recognize a sector that we need to be paying more attention to. And it kind of reaffirmed to me that, hey, I need to be paying more attention to this as well. 100%.
And I know Bank of America is a big proponent of this, and it's up to like an $11 trillion market, which it's a bit of a clickbaity term, but really it's a massive size market. It truly is. And I think his name is Him Israel. He's the Bank of America global research strategist. Has come out really strong, pushing green hydrogen as a serious contender in this space and market. And just to list off some of the names, these are big names, and you'll know some of them. Clean Power Capital, Ballard Power Systems, Air Liquide, Bloom Energy. There's a whole list of ones. Plug Power is another great one, of big NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange companies that are in the space. And of course, as you mentioned, Suncor now. But you know what? It is upon us now, and I think you've dropped the gauntlet to go find. And it'll be hard to find smaller companies because this is a big market, usually charged and led with seasoned, huge management teams. But let's go find some. Let's go find some green hydrogen plays in Canada that look promising, and uncover a couple for people, because it is going to be a major a key ingredient moving forward. And my limited knowledge of that space is I've known it's been around for a long time. Fuel cells, whatnot, and this whole battery component and this whole energy shift has been going on for decades. And most of the big oil and gas companies had departments. Suncor Energy has their own department working on green, renewable strategies for a long time. You hear these odd reports about how come they were never doing this. They have been. They've been doing it all the time. They're the lead people pushing research in these fields. So it's going to be interesting to see where this develops. And as far as I can tell you, with all the metals and mining, the requirement needed to try to match some of the lofty idealistic goals that are out there is stupendous. So, whether people like it or not, if you want to have energy, and never mind to match the growth that we're going to see in places like China, India, Africa, I would suspect hydrogen and green hydrogen and developments in there is going to play a massive role. So yes, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, it seems like an extremely exciting space. There's so many applications for it to kind of push this path forward. So it's definitely something that is on my radar now, and I personally am going to be spending a lot more time paying attention to and looking at some interesting hydrogen plays going forward, and where kind of maybe the next opportunity might lie in this sector.
Yes, and I want to jump back on to something you mentioned, and I forgot to mention the University of Queensland, who's been doing work with GMG on this battery, I need to give them a shout out because it's important work that they've been doing with GMG, and having that collaboration is important. But that specifically, the part you're speaking to about government involvement, we see in Quebec a massive acknowledgement of critical metals and an energy shift. It's impactful. Let's just say that. Maybe we're starting to see a bit of a shift from federally, but it's extremely disappointing, to be perfectly honest. We're a resource country with absolutely incredible energy genius in this country, to be quite frankly. There's a lot of opportunity. And somewhere that's comparable with resources is Australia, who has full recognition of their people as well as their government to be utilizing what they have in a responsible manner. And we've really dropped the ball here in Canada, and that's not one government over another. There has to be more of a government acknowledgement of, rather than just talking a lot about, virtue signaling about environment, of pushing capital towards it. Once again, we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to have a policy about something. We need actual action in solving the problem. So, there are companies like GMG here in Canada. There are companies that are doing excellent work with redox batteries in the battery energy metal space, not only in mining, but in the innovation and creation. And there has to be much, much more, promotion by federal government to harness this revolution that's happening. I mean, there's no reason why Canada could not be a major player in this new energy space if our federal government so desired.
No, absolutely. Because, it's funny. I had a conversation a couple of days ago where I made this analogy, and I'll use this analogy to you, and you can tell me if I'm on the right track. If you head to another country, let's say not a resource heavy country, pick, maybe one of the major countries in Europe, use even Ireland as an example off the top of our heads. And you're kind of trying to get them excited about the idea of mining to go get these precious metals and minerals out of the ground. And you're explaining the process of this is how you do it. And they're going to look back at you and they're going to say, well, that sounds like a lot of work. You're telling me this stuff's in the ground and I have to go get it out? Now you flip that on its head, have that conversation with someone in Canada in a very resource heavy country. We can say, wait, we've got all that stuff right there and we just have to go get it out of the ground. Let's go. So I think that's kind of the analogy to use. It's a good point to bring up with Australia, where you look at the government's impact there. Canada's government can set lofty targets and lofty expectations, but it doesn't mean anything unless we're actually going to pump money into going and filling these massive goals, and realizing that, hey, we've always been a resource country since the beginning, since before it was even called Canada. This was a resource country. So why the hell are we not, pushing that and staying on that path? Yes, everyone, I think, accepts the fact that fossil fuels probably aren't the cleanest thing for the environment, but there are ways to make them 1,000 times cleaner for the environment, while also embracing the fact that we're still a resource heavy nation, that we can still achieve these targets by actually, kind of leading the front on this rather than playing catch up the entire time, which is where I feel we're still stuck spinning our tires on some of this.
Well, yeah, there's a healthy push and pull, and it's, sometimes you have to give a pushback because there's lots of bad stories and whatnot of energy companies and even mining companies in the past where, you don't have to look too hard and too far to go, oh my God, like that's dreadful. So you need to have a lot of pushback and responsibility held for projects going wrong, any environmental disaster. I mean, that's across the board. I would say any reasonable person, and I'm a big proponent of this sector, I would hold people accountable very strictly. Because if you're dealing with something that's so critical and so necessary, that also has an impact, it could have a possible negative impact, then you have to proceed properly. And we're seeing a lot more change in the whole industry in the last couple decades, especially to not just put on a happy face and show its clean side, but to show that almost every CEO and president that I've talked with on camera or off camera, they're sincerely interested in the environment. It isn't just a kind of under the breath kind of talk. Like, they're not snuffing it off. They love it. A lot of them live in Vancouver. They hike. They go out in the mountains. They love it. So they don't want to cause harm. And it's nice to have the pushback of people highlighting projects in the past or this or that, because it reminds us of how vital of a resource we're talking about. We're talking about our water, our streams, and we have to keep that in consideration. But at the same time, we have to advance innovation in order to meet a lot of these goals and to help move things up at a faster rate. And right now, Canada sits in such an incredible crux if the country itself so chose to. That is quite beyond me. I do know that our Prime Minister had come out about a year ago and did a bit of a push on mining and talked about it, but I haven't seen anything as far as tax incentives or any real push reminding the public that we're a resource country and that we've got a market that's the market for mining. I mean, it really is. And we've got amazing, innovative, clean and green tech companies that are doing everything from nanotech and graphene and types of graphene products. It's amazing. So seeing GMG go out there and having a great couple weeks as an IPO is outstanding. It's uplifting, and these are the stories we like to focus on because it gives you that ground up building of we've taken something from the ground and we've created an innovative new solution for a problem that we're facing. So yeah, kudos to GMG. And also, we're going to be paying great attention to Suncor and this partnership with ATCO Gas, because that's a big deal. And I hear whispers and things as well. I mean, there's lithium projects coming out as well in Alberta. So there's interesting things coming. I'm a big fan of helping Alberta, grow strong again. I'd love to see that, and I know you do as well. So, any kind of last thoughts to touch on? I mean, we've got a big task ahead of us with finding some suitable hydrogen companies for people to be excited about.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway from everything we've thought about and looked through is that, we're going to continue doing what we do. We're going to continue to find these exciting opportunities, these companies that make these resources make sense and can find these incredible applications for them in the path forward. So no, I think it's about our responsibility of trying to find these companies and pushing other people in the right direction, having these conversations and getting excited about the fantastic opportunities that are right here at home if we just take advantage of them.
Excellent. Well said. Thank you, Austin.
Thank you, Andrew. Always a pleasure.
Enjoy the day. Get some sun.
You as well. Take care.
Take care, everyone.